Good afternoon, class. Thank you all for viewing this video this afternoon. So today our message subject is history. So the topic we'll be discussing this afternoon is colonialism, and this is like an instructional video. Like you will watch the video several times and you will understand what you're supposed to be doing. Like I will explain some assessments and even activities, and even I'll divide into 3 parts. So you will view this video as you understand. First one, the topic is colonialism, and the title is the benefits of colonialism in the Pacific. So what the students need to do, like I've said, it's just an instructional video. So you can access, there is some, once you log into Moodle and then you access the PowerPoint, okay? The PowerPoint will be uploaded, so you can see the link of the videos that are uploaded in the Moodle, and you access those videos and then you can watch, give you more insight about what is colonialism. I know you've read the novels, you watch videos, or you read the books about colonialism and what is colonialism. So, and then gain some understanding, have some understanding about colonialism by watching videos. There's also some channel articles and books have been uploaded there, which you can help you understand more about colonialism. Make sure you understand the readings and familiar with the topics before starting to attempt the activity, because if you don't, then you cannot understand what you're doing. But you don't have to be worried, because I will, if you have any queries, just email me, and then I will guide you or give you instruction what you're supposed to be doing. All right. So upon successful completion, students of this topic, students will be able to understand what is colonialism and what are the major benefits of colonialism in the Pacific. So first we begin by colonialism, and then the second we explain how colonialism is being activated in the Pacific. This happens between 17th to 19th centuries, when Pacific Islanders start receiving the explorers, okay, the European countries start to come into the Pacific. So that's the introduction part of my lesson. Okay, so now I'm about to explain the body of the instructional video, which is first of all, as I mentioned in the learning outcome, is you have to understand what is colonialism. So colonialism is the practice or policy of control by one people or power over other people or an area of land. As we see in the early 18th to 19th centuries, the early Europeans, when they travel into the Pacific, okay, they move into the Pacific. They come to not just for trading, but they come to dominate the land, to control the land, or to colonize the land. So in this way, the activity was to have power over the land, and then to control the land, to make development based on whatever things they bring them with in the Pacific. So the reason for colonialism was for the exposure of religion, culture, economic, or developing cultural practices, or by cultivating the land that they own. Let's just see some examples, like in Samoa. The reason why American Samoa began American Samoa right now is because the Americans have once been there in the early 18th centuries, and then they try to dominate the land with their cultures, affecting people's livelihoods, and then they make living there, they develop businesses, economics, and then they change languages. So that's why we call the place American Samoan. So then it became independence. So American Samoan is one of the first Pacific countries that have its independence. So it's still called today the American Samoan. So just some examples about colonialism in the Pacific, how the Europeans been colonized some of our lands in the Pacific. Okay, so a part of that why colonialism even established is because to extend the borders. Most of the Europeans, they want to expand their borders or re-establish of military bases, develop embassies. Okay, that's one of the main thoughts. So we can see the Germans, the France, the Europeans, and all those European countries, they come into the Pacific for just reason, extend their borders and to establish military camp bases. So that's what is colonialism. And then from later that time, until from that time we can find that there are different waves of migrations of Europeans coming into the Pacific. Different waves of migration. We can see firstly whalers. Whalers are people who travels out from Japan down to the Pacific just looking for whales for selling. So they travel by ship, okay, and then they settle in different islands. And then after the whalers, we can see traders. They come along. So now we can understand that people who trade for sandalwood, okay, and then they collect people to work in cottons. They take people to Queensland, like in Australia. And then the third is we can see another wave is missionaries. The missionaries coming into the Pacific, spreading the gospel into different countries in the Pacific. And then the black brothers who kidnap most of the Vanuatu people, or even Fiji and other country citizens. They detect them and they took them to Queensland for them to work in sugarcane plantation and even cotton plantation. So those are different waves of migration, people moving into the Pacific between 17th to 19th centuries. I'm just explaining a certain group of people, okay, which we will be looking into those group of people in our next class. So after that, we can find the benefits of colonialism. There is a lot of benefits of colonialism we can experience, and we can witness with our own eyes what the impacts of colonialism right now in the Pacific. Colonialism brings into the Pacific some of the major development, which we as Pacific Islanders still benefiting from those colonial projects until today. We call them the colonial project because once the country is been independent, then the development is still remain there, and the owner of the land they just build up on those colonial project, and they develop it. I can give you one for example in Vanuatu. Firstly, it's been controlled by British and France, and then after the Vanuatu came independent in 1980, and Vanuatu now established education policies based on English and French language. So it still remain until today. So the Vanuatu generation, so education is everywhere. The dialogue, they use only this dialogue, English and French language. So this is one of the benefits of colonialism in the Pacific. And then the other benefits we can see, they establish the health, okay, medical health and politics principles, economic development, and even they develop the agricultures and industries that are in established now in the Pacific, which we can benefit from them. And not just that, I just mentioned some of them, but there are more of those. So my introduction video is we will look into the benefits of colonialism in the Pacific. Okay, so there are most of varieties of colonial projects. Okay, for example, we can see New Caledonia, Solomon Islands, and even Fiji, the British, and then the other countries we can say Tahiti as well. Those little countries in the Pacific. So that's the islands that I've mentioned. These are islands that colonialism been impact, and they really enjoy the benefits of Europeans colonizing them. So that's the end of my body, and I hope you understand what I'm just explained. Thank you very much. Thank you all for listening to me explaining the introduction, the body. So now this is your activity. So the activity is like quite simple, and I hope you understand. First question is, each an individual student needs to watch the video, read the articles, and then explain what is colonialism in your own words. Okay, 1 to 2 sentences, it's enough. And then the second question is, it's not a question, but it's like a quiz. So you need to attempt the quiz. Not a lot of questions, but it's just maybe only one question for the quiz. So I understand that you will read and you will answer the quiz. And then the last question is, the question 3 is you need to write an essay about 300 words. So I say about what is colonialism project that your country still benefiting from today. Most of countries that we belong or we came out from, they're still benefiting from some things that the colonial powers has been put there, been established there and developing until today. So you just notify those developments or those projects, and then you're gonna write about them, how you think they are helping your community or your country. Like I mentioned about Vanuatu. After Vanuatu of independence in 1980, they still benefiting from English and French government dialogue, using dialogue, English speaking in classrooms until today. So we really benefit from them. So write an essay about 300 words and then submit it to me. Make sure you follow the instruction quite really quite good. If you can, then send me your draft. I'll check it first and then I'll send it back to you. Then you can submit the final one. Okay, make it short and sharp and very interesting. So thank you very much.